Hi everyone, this is Becca. Welcome back to House of Lenormand. Well, here you go guys, here it is. This is the Grande Tableau for Donald Trump. I did this back in April 11th and I've really taken my time to kind of review this. The biggest problem that I had with this was identifying the cast of characters, and I think I got a little bit lost in the weeds trying to figure out who every single player was. So I decided to kind of pull it back a little bit and focus on what the question and the intent of the Grande Tableau was. And the timeline that I set was for Donald Trump for the upcoming 8 months. So since I originally did this throw on April 11th, we're going to be looking at May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December, because that was the timeline that I set. The question when I did this throw was to see what's going on with him specifically in the next 8 months. So bringing it back to the question kind of helped me figure this whole thing out and try to get a better, clearer read on it. And we're going to go ahead and dive into this thing. It's massive. There's a whole lot to look at. There's all sorts of things we can look at. We can look at his career. We can look at his family. We can look at his businesses, where he's headed, what's going on with him. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, everyone. So as I discussed earlier, this throw was for Donald Trump for the next 8 months. So we're, because of the timeline that I set, and this is going to be moving forward. I did this throw in April, so I'm designating this column for May, this column here for June, this one for July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so we're going to be looking at individual months here and then events as they unfold moving that way. When we go to look at specific issues, like this, we can look to see what's around it. We can night and see what's going on with that. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing that I did was I went ahead and identified him, since this throw was for Donald Trump. He lands right here at the very, very bottom of the tableau. Placement in the Grande Tableau when you're looking for the significator is very important, because where the significator lands is going to kind of give you some clues as to what's going on. Since he's all the way down here at the very bottom, this means that all of this is weighing down on him. All of this stuff up here is on his mind, and it's kind of pushing down on him. He can't really control it. The only thing that he can do is what's immediately around him. This is all he has control of. He has no control over anything up here. Okay. I'm also going to throw you guys in on a little secret. I'm going to be using the houses to get a little bit more information. And how that works is the houses are ordered in the way that the cards would be ordered in sequence. So the first house will always be the Rider. The second house will always be the Clover. The third will always be the Ship. And the fourth will always be the House. Okay, so think of it this way. It's going to be the houses, or the sequential order of the cards is if they were put from 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to 36. Okay, and what that does is it kind of flavors the cards that land on top of it, as well as it lets you jump around and link around to get more insight into information or to see how some events may unfold. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the corners. So this card, this card, this card, and this card to kind of box in my throw and see what we have. So let's dive into this. So this is my column for May. Right off the bat, we see that there's news, there's information that's coming in that's dangerous. This is something that is dangerous, something that cuts, something that separates. This is chaos. This is criminality. This is a decision. But it's something very swiftly, it cuts. Okay, over here, we see that we have the anchor in the house of the coffin. That means that there's going to be a very painful loss, a painful loss to stability, a painful loss in achieving your goals, okay? And security, a painful loss to your security. Next, we see that we have the coffin in the house of moon, and that's talking about a painful loss to your reputation, to your honors, to your career. So it looks like there's going to be some very quick, swift, dangerous, shocking information that may come in that's causing loss of security and a painful loss to career, and it has to do with finances, his financial contracts, financial agreements, financial partnerships, okay? Where the money's coming from. Right here in the middle of the spread, this is telling us, it's talking about a career choice. And there was an opportunity, and here's money and business, okay? The moon lands in the house of the birds, so there's going to be some negotiations, some conversations, a lot of talk, a lot of chatter in regards to his career and a new choice that needs to be made. This may be a choice about his children. This may be a choice that needs to be made that's going to lead him in a new direction, okay? Here we have the coffin or the clover in the house of mountains, and that's talking about a temporary delay, or a delay that temporarily gets cleared for him, okay? This is a little bit of luck, okay? But because it's in the house of the mountains, it may refer to an opportunity that will be delayed, or an opportunity to get into more trouble, okay? Here we have the fish in the house of the garden. So what we're looking at here is money that has to do with the public. So this could be public funds, this could be taxes, this could be money for a party, this is a large group of people, or money for the country. But it has to do with money that is in public funds. Okay, so now that we've boxed in the spread and kind of got a good little flavor of what the theme of this is, we know that there's going to be a sudden, quick cut, sudden decision, shock. There's going to be an ending, a very painful ending to stability, a painful ending to career, and it has to do with financial contracts, financial agreements, okay? I did this throw again. Sorry I keep repeating myself, but I just wanted to reiterate. This was done April 11th. I am posting this today, May 14th. As we've already seen, what's happened is we've already started to see the subpoenas coming in from the House. This right here is talking about dangerous news or swift news that has to do with the message for an invitation. This is an invitation. This is talking about the invitation has to do with contracts, some sort of an agreement, something that is binding, that needs to transfer or change, and it has to do with financial agreements. So in May, this is already in play right here. We've already seen, this is the subpoenas coming in to get records, documents that need to be transferred here that have to do with his financial agreements. That's already coming into play. And as we move forward this way in time, and as we start linking the houses, we're going to see how that unfolds. For May, this person here, this is a close friend, an associate, someone that's very close that you trust. Because he lands next to the tree and the birds, I'm going to take this to be Junior, okay? He has a little bit of luck. He's taken a risk, okay? And there's something that has to do with the gift that was cut. He's under a lot of burden because we have the cross on the house of dog. He's under a lot of burden, and he may be suffering some guilt for having an answer to a secret or something, a very important secret, something that he did not disclose. So as we can see here, Donald Trump Jr. has already been issued a subpoena, okay? And his subpoena has something to do with a gift that was cut, and he's going to be found guilty in June for having kept a secret, okay? We'll come back and talk about this row later, but I just wanted to go through the months with you real quick. This is my designated column because of the timeline set for July. And we see here that there is something that is moving, and there's something that is very stable, okay? So there's a branching out overseas, okay? A branching out growth overseas, and we're also seeing a sexual relationship here. This is abuse, something that's chronic criticisms. This is also the card for sex, and this is the card for relationships. So we're seeing sexual relationships here. The courts are going to be very important come July because the Tower lands in its own house. So this is kind of like the neon light or the flashing lights going off in this tableau, because in July there's going to be significant events unfolding in the courts. We have the storks in the house of letter. So that could be a transfer of legal documents. That could be an exchange of legal documents, an upgrade to legal documents, or people coming in and out, bringing messages and news to the government. And we'll come back and see how that unfolds. But that's just a quick flavor of what's going on in July. In August, right here at this column for August, we're seeing his money, his finances, his career, his properties, his family, front and center. The birds lands in the house of house. Because it's next to the tree, this has to do with negotiations and conversations between the siblings, also within the family members, about something that had to do with career, their honors, the public, their reputation, and public funds. Money or businesses in the public, or money in businesses for a park. This could quite literally be his golf courses where a lot of people go to gather and they pay, okay, with funds. Here we have his properties, his home, and his family. The house lands right on him. So we're seeing a lot of talk, a lot of negotiations, everything about his personal businesses and everything he's done in his career with his family, his children, how he's getting his money, where he's getting his money, his businesses come front and center come August. That's the news that's going to be coming out in August. September, we see that he is facing a lot of obstacles. There's issues that have grown over time or have branched out that are going to be causing him significant problems, significant trouble, significant delay. And there's choices. There's new choices or new decisions that he's going to need to make. And here we go again with the temporary obstacles, okay? There's something to do here with the woman that is fraudulent, a woman that is a con, a woman that is not what she appears to be, and there's long-term arguments coming in September. There's a chain of arguing, a chain of addiction, a chain of lashing out. So in September, just to recap very quickly, he's going to be facing significant obstacles, and he's going to be given a decision or a choice to take the easy road. But it's kind of like he gets out of one problem temporarily, only to land himself in another one. It's a trap. that lands in more long-term problems for him. Long-term litigation, long-term abuse, long-term arguments. Okay, and we'll see how that unfolds again as we go that way in the spread. October, we're looking at a new venture overseas that's causing a lot of anxiety. Because the scythe is number 10, if we take this as to mean the time frame, it could quite possibly be that in October there's going to be an announcement made that he's leaving. Resignation. There's the stars and lilies that could speak about in order to clear up these problems, because the house lands in the sun lands in the house of clouds. In order to overcome those problems, he needs to make a decision, but he needs to come up with a new strategy, and there's an option for him to leave, which is reiterated right here, into retirement. And it's a burdensome guilt or burdensome anxiety or burdensome worry. So let's hope, keep your fingers crossed, that this is talking about a resignation. The news that comes in October will be of a separation, and he resigns his post. Okay, let's hope that this is not new ventures overseas, that there's going to be war. Let's hope that that's not it, because these two together, this can mean rockets, okay? And this could mean quite literally multiple ships, so like a fleet, so like the Navy, okay? So let's just hope that that's not what that's talking about, and we'll discover more as we move along. November, he's in a world of trouble. In November, we have the lilies in the house of snake, which that refers to, the lilies is purity and honesty, peace, and it's also represents an older man, but this is in the house of lies, deceit, and betrayals. And it's reiterated here, there's lies, deceits, and betrayals about his finances, his big money, his assets. There's secret corruption or secret anxiety going on here. And there's not going to be any success moving forward, okay? Because the cloud lands in the house of the sun, so it's covering up all of the success. It's covering up stuff from coming out. This could quite literally be the full unredacted Mueller report, if that's what this is speaking about. It remains obscured. It remains clouded over. And then here in the final row, we see that there's a woman in the public eye. She's well known, she's popular, we could see her in the media, and she has something to do with the public, okay, and she suffers a significant loss to stability and her career. So this woman could be publicly shamed, this woman could be losing her security and her social status, okay. There's a significant loss for this woman here, and we'll take a closer look at who she is, okay? Moving forward this way, this is Trump Jr. We see that he's in danger because the scythe is right before him, so this could be cutting of a friend or news coming that is very dangerous to this person. And we can see here that he may use his voice to speak, but he may plead the fifth, and we've discussed that before about his subpoena to the House Intelligence Committee. So it looks like if he uses his voice to speak, he's going to plead the fifth, and there will be a delay. It's going to clear him even though he lied, but he's going to lose his stability because he was being dishonest. He's going to see a significant loss in his stability, but it doesn't have to do with this. His line of influence is right here, okay? This is saying that there's something to do with a sexual relationship, money, and the public, and conning a woman that's going to show guilt of criminality, guilt of loss, guilt of corruption. So it looks like here, when we were saying earlier in June that he's going to be under a significant amount of burden for something that had to do with a gift that was being cut off, and it's reiterated here in this little square, he's going to be found guilty, and it looks like it's going to be about a violation of these gifts. The news will come in about a violation, could quite possibly be the FEC violations, because it has to do with a sexual affair that was paid for to kind of con or manipulate, and that is considered a crime of corruption or a crime of something that's eroding. It's giving them a lot of anxiety. If we start knighting him this way, 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 we can see that this person temporarily has a contract or an agreement, something that is binding. This could quite literally be handcuffs, okay? He's guilty, and this is the institutions, the government, the enterprise. This is also isolation. So we may see Junior going here, okay, being isolated because he's found guilty. See, he's found guilty. So we could quite possibly see Donald Trump Jr. Quite possibly moving into some sort of sentencing where he becomes isolated and handcuffs right around July. But there's going to be a development for him in June, that there's going to be significant guilt for covering something up, keeping a secret that has to do with corruption or something that is giving him a lot of anxiety, and it has to do with this guilt. If we go this way, we can see that here's the tower. So we're seeing the government here again, okay? And this could also be talking about the meeting that he had for the Trump Tower business, okay? But this one doesn't look like it's going to be the one that puts him here. It looks like it's more to do with the sexual relationship, the agreement that was made for the money and the fraud. Okay, so it looks like he may be in more trouble for the FEC violation that he will be for not being truthful to Congress, okay, or the Senate. Moving into July, we can see here that the courts are going to be significantly activated because the tower lands in its own house. We can see here that the courts are really, really burdened, and there's a person, him, that's significantly burdened. We can also see here, this may be something that's happening in the background, but if this is sexual relationships and this is growth, it's also your health. We could be seeing in the background more information coming out or more litigation about reproductive rights for women. And there's going to be a transfer or a change of documentation, and that news comes in. Significant news will be coming in. This could also be speaking about the courts or quite possibly the government. A lot of people coming in and out. A lot of people delivering news, delivering significant news about secrets or things that are not known to the public. We can also see here that this is the IRS. Okay, this is an institution that has money. So this could be a bank, and it could also be the IRS, because an institution that has money that is for the greater good for the public. So we can be seeing some news coming out in July, quite possibly to do with his tax returns. Okay, we may also be seeing something about immigration coming out of the courts, in July because the storks or migratory birds, they leave and they return. They're changing. They're always moving back and forth. And these are visitors. So we may be seeing news coming out in July that has to do with immigration. Okay, so we're seeing his tax returns, ruling of his tax returns. We're seeing quite possibly something that has to do with reproductive rights. Here we could be seeing a lot of people leaving and returning in and out of the government and out of the courts, bringing messages. And we can also be seeing around the courts that this person is going to have their day. And also, he's in government. Okay. For his businesses and his career, we're going to look here. And we can see here that there's obstacles for him around his careers, but he's going to have a choice that needs to be made. And it has to do, like we discussed earlier, because it's the central focus of the reading, his business assets, his businesses and his career, what he's done his entire career in regards to his money, where he's gotten his money from, and the taxes will come out. If their goal was to delay, slow it down, this is something that takes a long time. The tree doesn't grow overnight. And to branch out. And the negotiations were to slow down and delay. It looks like the courts are expedited. We follow this line here for litigation, okay, for long-term arguments. So in July, the courts really do become activated for him, and it doesn't look good for him because the news comes in for him, and it's trouble. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off, and I'm going to continue on with part 2, and we're going to tackle September, October, November, December, and kind of look to see what the choices he has and what he may be deciding, what's being covered up, the secrets. We're going to follow the money in his businesses here. We're going to read this line across, and make sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you very much.